Hey, my name is Jerry. I am a Reiki master, energy healer. I do energy medicine. So I do acupressure points, chakras, meridians, auras. I do yoga. So we dabble in kind of understanding and identifying with our ego, doing a lot of work around calming the nervous system and endocrine system, and doing positions and postures that are geared towards making your body overall healthy. And also, I'm a witch, so I do dabble in witchcraft as well. So, this is really a fun subject, the endocrine system. And isn't it kind of witchy, right? It's our hormones. We can't really see it. But as we walk through it, we'll kind of talk about how you can interact with your endocrine system, really get to understand it. And once we build more understanding for our endocrine system, we can really ensure that we can take care of it, right? That's the whole piece of education that's kind of being missed right now in our medical communities, is that we're not educating people on their systems and how to keep them healthy, and we're compartmentalizing a lot of this too. So I'm hoping to be able to tie, and again, this is a very simple understanding of the endocrine system. It is definitely more intricate, and it definitely connects to all of the systems. It's not just the systems I'm mentioning. So please keep that in mind. This is really more of just an introduction to the endocrine system. So the endocrine system, let me just move my little guy over here. Yogis believe it's the body's ability to maintain homeostasis or balance. And this is so true. We'll talk about it. The components are pretty simple for the endocrine system. You'll see over here to the right-hand side, you have my drawing. So I went ahead and created my own. So if you can kind of view this, I put together, or you can go online and kind of Google these. These are approximately what they look like and where they're located. The primary function is to monitor the status and secrete hormones to regain balance or perpetuate the cycles of the rhythms or of life. So we do have a circadian rhythm. So and every individual has a different rhythm, a different frequency in which they wish to live by. And so, why I have it in parentheses, or in which we create, is because a lot of times in our modern day society, we are kind of told to not honor our circadian rhythms, right? Like we don't have the option to sleep in one day because maybe we're not getting enough cortisol, or maybe something's kind of out of balance. We are on a structured, a structured work day and a structured life day. We have very, very, very busy lives. So we can actually disrupt our circadian rhythm. So that's why I have it in parentheses, because your body, once it's out of balance, it's always constantly trying to get into balance, but it's also trying to keep you where you're at, because, and this is what, your body, it has a safety mechanism and it wants to keep you where you're at. So if you disrupt your cycles, it may continue those cycles versus being that aware piece to make you change it and shift it. Okay, so your endocrine system acts more of like the delivery system. So kind of think of this as like the bloodstream. So you have the bloodstream that's coming in from the brain, and it releases the hormones, and it comes throughout your whole circulatory system, and it acts like kind of like a train system, really transporting the hormones throughout the body and throughout the day. It's almost kind of got its own little like schedule going on. And again, it's very unique to your body because each individual body is going to be different. Okay, so the major associated glands with the endocrine system are the pituitary gland. So I put in parentheses, I didn't go through all of them. I just wanted to kind of touch on the nervous system, because these are the two top that we talk about in yoga the most, is the endocrine system and the nervous system. So it's very important to be aware of those two and how they interact. So the pituitary gland, which sits within the nervous system, because your nervous system, again, is your brains, your spinal cord, and your nerves. And your pituitary gland is actually going to sit within your brain. This is the same with the pineal gland and the hypothalamus gland. All of those are situated within your brain. So they sit within the nervous system, but they are part of the endocrine system. That's why we say they're so heavily related, because honestly, they're very intricately tied. You really can't separate them out. It also has the thyroid and parathyroid glands, the thymus gland, adrenal glands, kidneys, ovaries, and or testes. Okay, so they're responsible for, or the purpose of the endocrine system. This is the heavy hitter, important thing for everyone to understand. So, every woman, every man, we are all made out of hormones. And right now, the current state is disrupting how our hormones are acting. That's why we have such huge, I mean, I think you kind of noticed it. Like when we're looking, we have the pancreas here, the adrenal glands, the kidneys. We're talking a lot like with diabetes, ability to filter out toxins, those are kind of like through the kidneys. So there's a great deal that goes on with the endocrine system. So disrupting it can affect you by controlling. It can affect your mood, your growth, your development, your organ function, metabolism, your reproduction, your sexual arousal, blood sugar levels, a response to injury or stress, and your ability to be resilient. So your hormones are basically you, they're super important. And that's why we have to understand how to get a control over them. Because if we don't have control over them, they will have control over us. And again, when you look at controlling mood, a lot of times when you see hormone disruptions in women, they might have less resiliency. So you may see a little bit more fear behavior, maybe frustration, maybe emotions like crying. These things are all controlled by the endocrine system. Okay, so overtaxing or overstressing your endocrine system. So the endocrine system removes the hormones that are hormones are done by the liver, which is part of the digestive system and is completed while we sleep. So as we sleep, the 6 to 8 hours, why they say that's important is you actually have like this brain rinsing thing that happens. It starts with a G. I'm totally forgetting the name of it. It's within the brain. And that actually flushes water to get toxins out. And your liver eventually is part of the digestive system. And while we're sleeping, it's going to process those hormones, but it's also going to process all the toxins that we had and alcohol and things like that. We'll talk a little bit later about that. Modern day, we overtax the liver again with alcohol, low grade. Actually, I guess we're going to talk about it right now. Liver with alcohol, low grade oils, pesticides, sugar, caffeine, chemicals, and a multitude of other factors that can really affect your endocrine system. So, when we look at the way that we have set up with productization in our life, a lot of it is around having more of these things because, caffeine keeps you running. And we're not actually addressing, these are all the band aid fixes that we found to get us through our days and to cope with our days, but these aren't great ways to maintain our health. And so that's kind of the whole point of having these kind of pointed out because they are major endocrine disruptors, and we'll talk about that in a bit. A healthy body can metabolize the excess toxins and hormones properly to maintain balance. An overtaxed body cannot process these hormones through the liver, or maybe they can process some, but not all. And then, so they're basically just recirculated back into your bloodstream. So they go through your bloodstream, they come back out through the liver, and then the liver's not able to actually process them and digest them. So it recirculates it out into your bloodstream until your body is ready to handle it. So again, this is what we're talking about, getting our body out of rhythms. If we're continuing to have the alcohol, the pesticides, the low grade oils, the caffeine, the chemicals on our clothes, the Wi-Fi, the everything in our life, then our liver is going to take attack. And I think I just saw a study where they're starting to see liver disease increasing in teens. And this is probably why you're already having a huge hormone disruption when you're a child because you're actually changing how your hormones are working. And on top of that, a lot of the foods and the stuff that are marketed to our kids, especially like the cheap clothing and stuff like that, has a lot of chemicals in it. So you are going to see liver issues even with how we process chemicals throughout the entire body. Um, okay. Sorry. I had this little note. I want to make sure I don't miss this. So when we're talking in energy healing, that you're not releasing your energy, that it's just kind of coming stagnant within you. This is one way that you can kind of see it through more of the physicality perspective of your body literally not being able to process energy and it has to recirculate. And so this is a fabulous way to kind of see what we're talking, because a lot of times we talk about like recirculating things with grounding practice, and grounding practice really helps kind of get out that excess energy. Just think about it with your house, right? In your house, you have grounding wires that go into the ground. You have the positive and the negative. So if you get struck by lightning, it goes right through the grounding wire, right? So that keeps resiliency. And so that's what we see a lot of times when the nervous system and the endocrine system is overtaxed. The resiliency within a person is a little bit lower. So they might have a lot more anxiety and stuff. And actually, let me just lead right into my other bullet point before I just kind of go off into what I was saying. But this is essentially what I was saying. It's going to lead you to become irritable. It can make you stressed. It can cause mood swings, negative feelings, diabetes, weight gain, anxiety, depression, and physical and psychological stress. So when we talk about physical and psychological stress, a lot of times what I want to address, because people experience this but don't really truly understand what this is. So right now, how our system within the United States is set up is that all of these toxic chemicals and things are getting through the FDA under something that's called generally recognized as safe. And so a lot of times doctors are not aware that, like, you know, we'll hear doctors say behavioral health issues a lot. And that's because they're not understanding that not only the foods have been created to be more addictive, and that's a behavioral health issue, is when you have addiction, and the foods that we're eating, the chemicals are disrupting our endocrine system. And so we're becoming addicted to things because what we perceive our body to need it. So like alcohol addiction is one where the body perceives that it needs it, even though it is damaging it. So when we talk about psychological stress factors, so I am a woman and I have gone through a lot of appointments myself throughout my lifetime. And I've been told a lot of times that nothing's wrong with my body, everything is fine, and I should just not worry. And when I would get home, I would still be super stressed because, like, how do you, number one, not stress? And number two, I'm not feeling the symptoms. I'm still feeling it in my body, even if you can't physically seeing it manifest. I'm still feeling that something's wrong. So this is what we talk about with psychological stress, is that a lot of times the hormone system is misunderstood and overlooked within the medical community. So women may be experiencing symptoms, but doctors aren't able to find a physical reason as to why women are having these physical symptoms. And that's because it's energetic, right? It's not the seen, and that's not really what medical science does. That's not what science does. Science is the study of the seen, and the unseen would be a little bit more of this. Again, it's crazy because, like, that shouldn't be the differentiation. I 100% agree. However, it is how it is kind of separated out. It can impact our sexual function. It can cause infertility, menstruation cycle disruptions, graying of hair, and general drying up of the body. So especially as we get older, a lot of people will complain about, like, just dry skin in general. Women may see a bit more drying in the body with other things, and overall, it just impacts them. Endocrine disruptors. Okay, so endocrine disruptors can be made of man-made, or they can be natural. So you can think of natural flavors, which are man-made because those are actually created in the lab, and caffeine is more of a natural. And I kind of wanted to show you guys the little tricks that they do, because when we think of man-made and natural, you might read this and then honestly associate natural flavors for something that would be a healthy alternative, but those are created in the lab, and you can have up to 100 chemicals added to just one natural flavor. So it's really just a tricky way that they want to use this as an advertisement to trick you into thinking it's okay and healthy, but it's actually really not that great for our bodies. And again, sway test, right? Because I'm going to say that natural flavors aren't that great because I'm talking from personal experience. I can see how it affected my body. However, my husband, he claims that he can eat that and it totally is fine. And it may be something that maybe you eat now and you don't find out about later, but it's always good to just kind of be educated on the fact that there are potential downsides, I should say, to natural flavors and some of the man-made flavors that we have out there. They mimic, block, or interfere with your body's hormones. part of the daily life. So think about like air. When we have candles in the air, sometimes those can have chemicals. So this is how it can disrupt you. It can be diet. So it's through the foods that we eat. Again, pesticides, low grade oils, caffeine, and alcohol. So for the skin, think cosmetics and beauty products. I'm actually really surprised when I started doing energy healing. One of the tricks that the women would tell me is to buy white linens. And I thought that was kind of odd because I was buying dark colored linens because then you'd think that like it could take more. But what I found out is a lot of beauty products actually have bleach in them. So a lot of people who see regular clients and have reusable facial cradle things actually use white because there's so much bleach in these products. Bleach is not good for us. Bleach is not good for us to consume, and it's not good for our skin. I don't even understand why it's on there. So be careful of that and really look at what is in your beauty products. And also, you can make stuff at home too. We can look to some of the older ways that women used to actually, have blush and do all these things prior to chemicals, and they didn't really have to affect their body so heavily. Water, so kind of think unfiltered, non-spraying, filtered water with chlorine. Also, kind of like when you go to filtered water, a lot of times they put them in plastic, which isn't really great either. So I just do regular water, and I have an extra heavy duty water filter that I run my water through. It doesn't 100% remove the chemicals because I do live here in Chicago. I swear you can smell the chlorine sometimes in the water. So it doesn't get rid of all the chemicals, but it does protect me as much as it possibly can. So think of earth. So these are plastic and the clothes that we put on us. A lot of times those are synthetic. They come from nature, but they're synthetic and they're not really conducive for our bodies. And there's something called, I've just learned about this, like PFAS. They're like permanent plastics, and I think they're come from like fabrics and stuff. I think Lululemon was one that they had mentioned that has the PFAS in it, and it's a really bad endocrine disruptor. But essentially, when you wear the yoga pants, if you're not wearing maybe organic cotton or something in between it, or even the pores on your legs, it's actually absorbing a lot of those chemical things because your body is very absorptive. Like we actually absorb water when we shower and when we take a bath. So our body is very absorptive. So it can take in things from the exterior into our body. And then think of the final element is fire, and this is in your cookware. I warn a lot of people about Teflon. We had that movie that came out, I think it was called Black Water, and they have proven that Teflon has C8 and it can cause cancer, but they are able to keep it on the shelves because it has a heat maximum, right? And so it's safe when you hit that heat maximum. But when you put it in the dishwasher and you add all the chemicals that they've added to the dishwashing stuff, and then also the hot water that's in the dishwasher, it can break down Teflon. So that's when it starts to scrape off, and that's how you ingest it. So cookware is very important. Also, I had to throw away some wooden utensils because they seem to like kind of be breaking. And so I went for a non-toxic wooden utensil. So there are options out there. Definitely look at possibly replacing, or find out where we can maybe use our hands and we don't need the actual products themselves. Because again, clean up your hands, and they're amazing. You can do anything. 85,000 man-made chemicals in the world today, and that number is growing. They make a lot of money on these chemicals, and they're adding these chemicals to everything. I mean, everything. So this is definitely a highly lucrative business that they have created, and it's causing a lot of disruption, which obviously makes our medical industry very lucrative as well. Causes: fatigue, changes in heart rhythm, unexplained weight loss or gain, constipation, diarrhea, numbness and tingling in hands, high blood cholesterol levels, affects your reproduction function, depression, and anxiety. So these are possible causes. Like I'm not diagnosing, I'm not going to tell you. However, if you kind of were reading through any of this and you kind of notice your body, like this is what we call in yoga like when you resonate with something, you energetically resonate with something, you can kind of see when your interest peaked, like, oh, I have that. So if that's one of the things that kind of identified with you, you may want to look into endocrine disruptors. You may actually, I mean, like, let's be honest, everybody has them in their life. Like, unless you have been making an actual effort to get rid of them, you definitely have them in your life. What do hormones do? There are many hormones, but I just wanted to go over just a few and what they do, just so you can get a general idea. And these are some of the top ones that we talk about. So, melatonin, we talk about this, about sleep. It's produced in the pineal gland. So, it's just actually, it's like more like a little bit back towards here. And it's essential for sleep, and it lowers our body temperature. And then you have cortisol. This is produced in the adrenal gland, prepares the body's stress responses by stimulating a more rapid heart rate and breathing, influences mood, and wakes us up. And then serotonin. So it's released in the gut, which is actually interesting because I think they always thought that it was kind of released. I think that's what I heard. And over the years, we've actually identified that it's released in the gut. So gut health is extremely important to being able to improve your mood and keep your moods elevated. So your gut microbiome, and a lot of people talk about that, that is keeping a healthy gut function, and bacteria is very, very, very important when it comes to serotonin production. Hormones, so that again, they're through the thyroid gland. They're going to regulate metabolism, and it regulates energy uses, produces heat, and consumes oxygen. As you can imagine, that's a very fire and like air process, right? It's not only producing heat, but it's also consuming oxygen. So it's really doing some really cool witchy stuff. I just love the thyroid. Okay, so, how to protect the body? Remember, the endocrine system helps our body maintain homeostasis or balance, and it consists of glands and hormones. So, diet, well, you should reduce, moderate, or eliminate unnatural or processed flavors, increase organic and fresh foods. You'll see a lot. I'm going to keep saying diet, and this is on purpose. I want you to understand how important your diet really is to this system and also the nervous system. So, diet again, reduce, moderate, or eliminate low grade oils like corn, canola, cottonseed, soybean, soy, safflower flour oil, sunflower oil, or seed oils. Use olive, my goodness, I cannot speak today. Use olive oil, avocado, or coconut oil. Some of these oils, so cottonseed oil, and like canola oil, really, if you kind of like look into what they used to use these as, these actually weren't approved for human consumption. Some of these were actually used more in the industrial period, and they were used as industrial lubricants. It was only seen as a cheap oil, and manufacturers actually found that they could raise the cost on them, almost effectively charge them as much as regular oil and sell them to people, but they're not the greatest oil for our health. They're just highly profitable, and so it really works when we're looking at how to make money, but it doesn't really look about how to make healthy people. Diet. Reduce or eliminate alcohol. It taxes the liver, and it impacts the endocrine system, the nervous system, the digestive, and the whole body. So, alcohol is a very massive disruptor. Studies have kind of talked about having one glass of wine, but those studies never looked at an ultra healthy person and how it looked when they added that glass of wine. We're talking about people who are already drinkers or avid drinkers who reduced down to a glass of wine, and they saw an improvement in their health. That study has been out there for a while, for debate, and they still haven't taken this off. I'm going to tell you, as an energy healer, alcohol is not good. It is not going to be great for your liver. And the way that they process alcohol now is they've added a lot of chemicals. They have taken shortcuts. So be very, very, very careful with your alcohol. Again, some people do say that when they drink one alcoholic beverage a day, that they actually see better results. I've heard this with people taking mezcal, which is a type of tequila, but it's made from agave, And so there are some that you can buy that are a little bit better. But if you're using alcohol, remember what you're using it for intentionality, right? If you're over consuming it to get drunk, you're going to have an endocrine problem. If you're kind of just taking it as, a digestive or and, again, I don't like to say the word relax because the alcohol actually attacks the central nervous system, so it doesn't allow you to relax. But if there is some reason or something within your family that you do use alcohol, just be very careful and watch your intention with it. Okay. Overall diet, reduce chemicals, toxins, candles, fabrics, cleaners from your home and your environment as much as possible. Physical movement, increase movement, at least commit to 10 minutes a day. And that could be an energetic routine. Really, honestly, you just want to kind of get your body moving. And I've had people ask me, what if I can't physically move? I've either injury or something has happened to me and I physically cannot move that part. What you can do is you can visualize. An interesting study that they did with bodybuilders is they actually made bodybuilders not work out for like 2 weeks, and they had to actually just visualize themselves working out, and they actually grew 13% more body mass. So, like when we talk about like the witchy stuff, our nervous system, our brain up here, that command center is incredible. I mean, just even think like placebo effect. So just it's amazing what we can do with our own bodies and how we can really affect our own. Reduce stress, all of the above, and learn how to build resiliencies and find ways to bring joy and passion back into your life. So I cannot stress this enough. I have had a lot of doctors kind of just tell me, oh, you need to stress less and stuff like that. And that's all great and well, but like just telling somebody not to stress less isn't going to actually, uh, it's not going to give them the action steps to stress less. Okay. So what I like to tell people is to start building in a framework. Okay. So you can either select one item that you want to test. So what you can do is you can isolate something, you can use tools to see if you effectively can change that behavior. You can bring passion back into your life. So bring in a hobby. A lot of times we get bogged down with work, kids' schedules, the home, everything else, that we actually forget that we are here to enjoy our lives a bit, right? So bring back a passion, bring back a hobby, figure out how to bring love and joy. Again, like witchcraft is really good with this because even for an example, I made these home protection things, and every time I see them, they are coupled with the thoughts of love and intention. So it really helps to bring love and intent, love into my life every day that I see them. Yeah, every day shouldn't feel so stressful. We need to bring in more love. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate and hope this information is as valuable as it was for me when I was going through my spiritual and healing journey. If you'd like to learn more about your hormones, please do check out my blog post for more information. The title is Unlocking Your Health, Understanding Hormones. This article, again, is going to have some of my research I tied together and ask some questions. This was done a while back when I was doing a little bit more of my research about how overall women's health was being overall health was being approached for women. I found a multitude of gaps, which kind of led me to really educate my clients on how the hormones are impacting our lives and how to really get control of them and how to, in the witchiest way possible, take power of ourselves, right? That's the whole thing about witchcraft is we really want to have power and have sovereignty, and we are the best individuals to make the decisions for ourselves. We're the only ones that can feel what we're feeling. So it's very important that we start to learn how to trust ourselves and how to build our resiliencies through our hormones. So this is an incredible way to do it. So thank you so much. Please feel free to visit my website, energeticturtle.org. Bye.